Hi and welcome to the Cult TV Sofa. This is a reaction video for the 5th episode of the only season of Manimal. You can now see the full reaction for this video on my new Patreon channel. Check out the link in the description below. Last time we saw a young wild girl that had been rescued from being raised by wolves. We saw that someone was actually trying to kill her. The girl had been on a trip with her family to India when she was little, and her family were killed in a boating incident, and she was also presumed dead at the time. We discovered that it was her father's previous partner behind everything, including the boating incident that killed the family, and he inherited all of the money and the business and didn't want to give that up to the girl now she had returned. They kidnapped her, and for some bizarre reason they decided to put her in a box and throw it overboard rather than just shooting her. But of course JC came to the rescue as a dolphin. So let's see what happens in this episode. I'm going to put any relevant trivia that I find over here, and at the end of the reaction I'll be discussing what happened and my thoughts about it. And I'm going to start it in 3, 2, 1. So, looks like we've got a horse racing one. Come on, number 7. Come on. I'm surprised he'd be there and be happy with horse racing. I thought with his animal thing, he'd be against horse racing in general. Do you know what I mean? Come on, number 7. Where are you? Ah.
Lab. Bay coat. No facial markings. Identification tattoo.
81225877.
Okay, so they put tattoos in the top of their lip. I assume it's kind of, I would hope and I assume not harmful to the horse to put it there, and it's hidden, so it's obviously just not visible to everyone. I didn't know that. I'll probably put some information here about that.
Long as you got this nice one-on-one going with him, why don't you ask him if he's up for winning today?
Okay, so that's kind of, again, implying that he can actually talk to animals. Because we've seen that before. We haven't actually seen him talking, I don't think we have, to an animal. But we saw he had an idea about using the elephant, and then the next thing we see is the elephant doing what we assumed he asked it to do. It would be interesting to see that, I think. It would just add to the story a bit more. It doesn't quite make sense, though, with his abilities, but it would be interesting.
3,000 feet above the grandstand. Precision freestyle skydiving.
It's almost time.
Now the divers are out of the plane.
Never done skydiving, but I have to admit I would like to try it.
Oh no, it doesn't look like it's quite right.
Yeah, his chute's not opening.
Yeah, but they're backups.
And the first diver is falling uncontrollably. He looks to be totally out.
What's he going to turn into? That could catch him. Hawk wouldn't do it. He is turned into a hawk. Is he flying up to pull the release for the second parachute?
Here's a bird dog flying from out of the sky and approaching the diver.
It's like you can see that at that height.
It's coming ever closer. And look, he's landed. I can't believe it. He's just opened the emergency chute.
I'm not laughing at the fact that the hawk did that. I'm laughing at the fact that the announcer is saying, "Oh yes, I can see a hawk flying." Is that height above, and he pulled the parachute? Oh dear. So I'm assuming this is some kind of distraction for whatever those two guys are doing in that horse box. So the guy in the parachute, I'm assuming, is in on it, and he would have pulled the second parachute at some stage. He was just prolonging it for as long as possible to create a longer distraction. That's kind of how I'm seeing it at the moment.
Listen, I need to lay off 20 G's on Papa's lad. No one's going to risk this kind of bread betting on a 65-to-1 shot to win unless he knows something that you and me don't.
Put me down for a C note on Papa's land.
So yeah, C note I think is 100. That kind of makes sense. I'm thinking C note century note 100. That's I've never heard the phrase before, C note, but I'll try and find out information again and put it up here. But that's kind of how I read it, and it makes sense. It's a bit worrying that the bookie knows Ty's name. That kind of implies he's there a lot and he gambles a lot. Might have a problem.
I packed that rig myself, same as for 1,000 other jumps.
And you don't think that someone could have tampered with it after that?
So he's not in on it. He was just part of the plan. He was a stooge. Bit of a rubbish plan though, because if the hawk hadn't pulled the chute, he would have hit the ground and it would not have been pretty. And if he'd hit the ground near or in the horse racing arena, which is where he was aiming for, doesn't necessarily mean he would have hit it. They could have gone off course from that sort of height. Then all of this would have been over. The horse racing, they would have cancelled it all. And I'm assuming they want the race to go ahead. I reckon they've swapped horses. Which is why they're putting a lot of money on an outsider to win, because it's not an outsider. It's actually probably a faster horse. So that doesn't. It's a bit of a rubbish plan, really.
As Papa's lad now begins to charge up on
Was it Papa's lad? Was that the one that was the outsider?
Dusty Day. Papa's lad.
That's not Papa's lad.
Run for the wire. Brings a generation run 65 to 1.
So she knows it's the wrong horse.
That wasn't Papa's lad. That was Splendid Dancer.
Kathy, look, I know it's been hard on you, but Splendid Dancer is dead.
If she recognises another owner's horse as being being the wrong horse, then there would surely be other people who would recognise it as well. It doesn't seem right that they better get away with it. It doesn't seem right.
Yes, but he wouldn't be if you'd have paid the ransom.
I don't have $10 million. I think it was you that kidnapped him.
So, her horse was kidnapped by this guy and maybe this jockey, I'm going to assume, woman. She didn't pay the ransom, so the kidnappers said that they'd killed the horse, but they didn't. They've kept the horse. They've now switched it for this race, and she has recognised her own horse. That adds a bit more to the fact that she's recognised it and no one else has, but I still think other people follow the horses. They know the horses, their form, everything about them. They would recognise that a certain horse is different to normal, especially if it wins so well outside with such outside odds. I would have thought there'd be perhaps a little bit more scrutiny, not even in a bad way. I don't mean scrutiny as in they check it to make sure everything's above board. There'd be more scrutiny that people are interested in seeing how the horse won and how such an outsider won. They'd be interested in it, so they'd be looking at it more, and things would just pop up, information about the horse that didn't match. Fight, 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 fight.
They've got my horse like... You're crazy! She'll be locked up! Get her!
Well, the tattoo.
I want you to check the identification on Papa's lad.
Identifications
got
are
him.
verified very thoroughly before the race, Miss Bonin, not after.
But it's not Papa's lad. It's Splendid Dancer. I trained him. I know the way he runs. I know every muscle movement.
Okay, I was going to say, yes, why don't they check that? They said they check at the beginning of the race, but obviously it was switched after that. And I'm guessing, though, it can't... Well, it might be able to change it, but it would probably be visible that it had been changed. It'd be difficult to cover up the number, I assume. And by the looks of it, that guy's nervous. If they do check it, that would probably be the answer. And I would have thought, if she's raising concerns, it takes a second to check. Why wouldn't they?
Splendid Dancer has a white star on his forehead. Papa's lad doesn't.
I examined him very carefully before the race.
Before the race?
Won't you just check his lip tattoo?
Changed after. 2 seconds.
Please open the store.
Okay. But it's obviously all going to match up because... Oh, well, he's running off. Oh, have they switched back? The horse is actually in that horse box.
8-1, Papa's lad. No sign of tampering.
Right.
They must have switched them somewhere between
Yeah.
here and the winner's circle.
I don't see how they can get away with that. It'd be too much scrutiny. So they're going to follow the horse box?
Are you on Splendid Dancer, the Derby winner? The one that was kidnapped last year?
Ah. And the Tact of the Year award goes to...
I can't have that at the gate. If she's right, and they slipped in a ringer, and he gets disqualified, then I'm holding the winning tickets.
Which he ripped up. He's got... Oh! See, that's why I never understand. I would... I know it's a common thing there, but I'm not... Oh, to be honest... Hang on. Too many thoughts. Right. I don't drop litter. I'm the sort of person who will spend 5 minutes hunting round for a bin to put something in it. I never drop litter at all. I think it's just awful. Why do it? That's what bins are for. So I would never rip up my ticket and drop it on the floor. I would probably never rip up the ticket in the first place. So I'd probably stuff it in my pocket and then in a few weeks realise I got loads of stuff in my pocket and then just put it in the bin or put it for destruction of some kind. So that's that thought, right? But if I'm assuming Ty's horse came second, so what he's saying is if that horse is the wrong horse, it'll be disqualified, which means the horse that came second came first. So he ripped up his ticket, threw it on the floor. He's now trying to find it. He's not going to have been the only one. There's probably going to be lots of people who did that. So he should be spending the next couple of hours hunting round for all of the tickets he can find for that horse that came second, because he'll make an absolute fortune if he does that.
Excuse me, this is an emergency.
You should have grabbed the bag. Don't rummage through. Take them all.
65 to 1.
Right, that horse box left, and it was out of sight while they were still talking by the stables, and he said his car's out by the exit, so it's going to take them at least a few minutes to get there. The only way they could be following this car is if they knew it was heading to a particular place. It might be going back to the owner's stables, and she probably knows where that is. So that's the only way it could work. Otherwise, there's no way they'd be able to just know where this thing was going and be able to get there so quick. Plus, it's by breaking quite a few laws, speed laws, to catch up. I know that the horse boxes would be driving slowly because the horse is in the back, but even so, he is driving pretty quick and cutting corners.
Your right rear tire shredding. It'll blow at any moment. You better pull over.
Thanks.
So he's trying to get them to pull over so that they can have a quick look in the back of the horse box.
Get out of here. It's a setup.
I mean, if there really was a horse at the back of that horse box, that is not how that would be happening. If he was swerving like that, the horse would be tipping over, adding weight to where it's tipping over, and more than likely that horse box would be falling over doing that kind of manoeuvre. There's no way that would work. At the very least, to be hurting the horse.
Look out!
I mean, that's kind of like that's pretty much attempted murder. They've gone from fraud to attempted murder pretty quickly. Is that New York? Was that the one of the bridges? Can't remember which one. Brooklyn, I want to say.
You move it.
Oh, get your clammy paws off me, huh?
Oh dear, bad acting. She's obviously undercover.
I don't know why they call you cops the heat, man. You look like cold fish to me.
That's awful acting.
Come on, you had me convinced. This was a big one. You look great.
And you get to assault her lieutenant undercover.
Right on my corner.
Yeah. Okay, so he did grab a load.
Oh yeah, found another one.
Yeah, that was the right thing to do.
What are these?
My tickets to heaven.
He's obviously not going to win. Something's going to happen.
But for the star on Splendid Dancer's forehead, would you say that these two horses look alike?
Well, at a basic level, but...
You think that parachute mess-up was a diversion so they could slip in a ringer for Papa's lad?
A $6 million payoff? No, I've known people killed for an awful lot less than that.
That's quite a lot. That is a lot to kill for.
We got to prove all this so that Dusty Day gets bumped to first.
Well, they've got to be able to prove it's the wrong horse. That's kind of going to be the point of the episode in some way. So he's going to have to lose his tickets. Something's going to happen to them. Because he's not going to win.
I work for the NYPD as a consultant special investigations unit. Now,
Still don't know what special investigations unit he is in and how that works.
Ty, wouldn't it be easier just if you put down the bag of tickets?
Ty's law says if it's worth money, never put it down. Mighty nice of you to give me this job, boss.
That's okay, son. We'll start you out on the hay bales.
That was very quick. Oh, 1 inch either way, that could have been extremely dangerous. Could have gone through her. This was her last episode after the unfortunate accident. Oh, it's got a bit of a slope to it. She could probably easily lift her leg up onto the top. And I know she's trying to be undercover, but if ever there's a time to break cover, it's when you think your life's in danger and you're literally about to be ripped into pieces. I mean, you would shout for help. She'd have to. Well, that'll die. Turn the machine off? That would have been the quickest way.
You got to get out of here. I'm in solid. I'll stick around and see what else I can find out. Hey, boss!
You can see a bale fell on him, knocked him in. Just keep hitting him.
Yeah, just topple down on us.
Good cover up.
Turned up a Sheldon Greentree who, get this, lost his license as a veterinary surgeon and is now a taxidermist.
Let's check in this room. I thought I heard something.
That'll be the taxidermy.
Wait a second. What's that?
I was just frozen.
Come on, let's get back to work.
That's actually quite clever. Just blended into the taxidermy, make him look like he's one of the stuffed animals. So that's the horse with the star on it, the one that got kidnapped.
Boy, I've always wanted to skin a big cat. I never saw that panther before.
Forget about the ocelot. I'll skin this panther first.
So some random panther has suddenly appeared on the table. They're just immediately going, oh, let's just skin it. They don't have any information on it, where it's come from, what's happened. They're obviously above board.
Don't get him, he's worth a fortune!
Well, not if you shoot it, it's not. I meant if you shoot it, it's going to put a hole in the skin and the fur. It'll ruin its value as a taxidermy piece. This is where she finds out she got the wrong panther.
Splendid Dancer.
So she's got a call for it.
Oh, Splendid Dancer, I knew it was you.
Watch out. Watch out.
Let go of me.
Why didn't she just quickly unpin it to get on and ride it away?
That's Papa's lad, and you're trespassing.
So call the police.
Oh, I intend to.
Yeah, and they've hidden the horse.
The only thing I ever want the police to find is her body. Do you understand that? Arrange for an accident to happen.
There's a lot of people to be involved in a murder, though. You have to pay them all off and assume that they're all corrupt. All the ranch hands and everything, all the stable men. And there's a new guy, Ty. They don't know what he's like or whether he's going to be on board with all this. So we know, but they don't.
Just hang tight and we'll get you out of there.
So he keeps a lockpick set with him.
So long, baby. Open for time.
Well, I don't think you can do it in one. I am not a lockpick specialist, but he had one, and he was doing it, just jiggling it around. From what I know, that is not how it works. You need at least two, because you're able to push the pins up and move things around in the lock to get things into place. So that was just ridiculous.
Let's just get you out of here right now.
That didn't work.
That go for him too?
Okay, so you made a knuckle duster. And that's a good idea to use the bottles. Whack him over the head.
Come on, give me the excuse.
I don't know what this says about me, but I would have whacked them over the head when they were on the floor before trying to run away up the stairs. Making sure they're not to kill them, but the intention of making them unconscious so that you can get away. Still hate the fact that he has them locked up like that.
Splendid Dancer was substituted for Papa's lad.
And there's seals in there with no water.
The human fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't
Look at
cover.
the tiger just pacing. Poor thing.
Then I'll introduce you as a horse trainer and myself as the rich Texas heiress who employs.
But some of them have seen him and his car. That's a very noticeable car. Is he going to like talk to the horse and encourage it to run away?
Now this is a noble wine. Elegant, vigorous.
Okay, so he's wrecking the wine cellar. Yeah, that's probably worth a fortune. To be fair, if I was locked in a room, more than likely going to be killed, and with no way out, and you had all that wine in there, I think I'd probably do the same thing. Last little bit of revenge. I would say some of that wine could be worth, well, some bottles could be worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Probably not there, but I bet the total value adds up to quite a lot.
You see the champagne? 1927. Go ahead.
It's a rosé.
Come on, make it feel better.
That is not a champagne, and it wasn't a 1920s champagne. It was a mass-produced rosé. Looking at the top of it.
And Mrs. Austin has a mare who we believe deserves a sire of the caliber for which your ranch is famous.
I see.
There was one particular horse. We saw him race the other day.
I'm sorry, but Papa's lad's not available for stud at this time. Fine, then I'll just have my trainer, Mr. Whittington, show you through the stables.
There are 5 guards around that stable. Probably means splendid dancers in there.
Very good guess. Are you going to turn into a horse?
That's it, baby.
She can't do that. She's a police officer and she's assaulted a man. Possibly seriously. She hit him over the head with a horseshoe. Concussion, fractured skull.
Jonathan, a simple nod would suffice.
Set fire to it. Create distraction. Lure them over there. And then I assume he's going to let the horse out.
Fire! Grab the extinguisher.
The door open. Okay, he can just push it open. I thought he could have kicked it open with his back legs. Is that called a slip knot? Not sure.
Hey, we're coming out with those horses. You're gonna learn who's boss.
Surely she'd recognise it's not one of their horses. They'd know all their horses. Especially with its distinctive white stripe down its nose. If I were him, I'd be throwing her off and kicking her.
Jonathan! They've got Ty and Kathy! Down!
Oof. Good.
We gotta help them.
They're meant to all be armed guards around there. Why aren't they letting her get away? Doesn't actually look like her riding. Actually, it can't be because they're keeping the shots good. But she's a good double. Because she's literally keeping her head out of the camera sight. But I actually believe it could be her doing it, which is quite good.
Jonathan. Thank you.
Nobody would do that, kiss like that. I might give them a hug and kiss them on the cheek, but you don't kiss someone on the lips like that.
Why don't you just sit down here, Jonathan, and rest?
Yes!
Oh, yeah, that's where he was whipped.
Soon as Papa's lad gets disqualified, I'm in the chips. The time. Where are
Yeah,
your tickets?
where are they?
Stashed away where only I can find them.
Goats eating it.
Shake the whole thing, man.
Oh dear. Wasn't a bad episode. I find it hard to believe that they could have switched the horses and switched them back and kept it all hidden, let anyone see it, and that nobody else would have recognised the horse. It's the totality of the whole situation I find hard to believe. The individual bits they might have been able to do, it's just all of it would have had to have worked out, and I don't think that's possible. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this one. It was an alright episode. Didn't quite believe it. It could happen. Her acting from a police officer point of view is awful. She needs to stop doing that. It doesn't work. And oh yeah, I'd say hitting that guy over the head. There's no way she'd be able to do that from a police point of view. That can't be legal. At the very least, there'd be an internal affairs investigation on her for that. And I still don't know what their special task force is. And why is he suddenly working for it when he was a professor before? He was a lecturer. I don't understand how that's. They just haven't explained that. You had the pilot episode, and then that does happen sometimes. They have a pilot episode and they change things for the rest of the series. After the pilot episode's gone out, they tweak things a bit based on feedback from people who've watched it. But at least try to explain it a little bit. They haven't, so that's a bit weird. And I still wish we'd see some more transformations. It would have been quite cool to have seen the horse, at the very least the head. Yeah, the nose could have stretched out. That could have been quite cool. But I understand they're expensive to do. So yeah, we don't see them. Yeah. Let me know what you thought about this one in the comments below, and I shall see you for the next episode. Be seeing you.